Wandering Traders. Yeah, maybe they aren't the most hated mob, as there could be much worse by others' opinions. But their reputation doesn't really live up because of their trading loot table. Like, what is this? 3 emeralds for a single dark oak sapling? Of course, the design of this entity is to obtain items that, if you can't have access by finding where to go or what buy, the water trader has your back. But for the early game, it's pretty worthless, minus their leads. Now, I know I could bust out the I'm going to improve the Wandering Trader by giving him the most overpowered traits, but no. My intention instead is to create something similar, but in a completely different way. Greetings males and females, and this is my different concept of the Wandering Trader. To start off this little showcase of my concept, let's talk about the name and its design. This little guy is a Dimension Trotter, and as the name slightly connects to the other term Globetrotter, will, similarly to Endermen, spawn in every dimension, though retaining some of the qualities the Wandering Trader has, but excluding the llamas. For its design, I based it off of the Jawas from Star Wars, but each dimension has its own theme and design. The overworld having a green look, the nether with red, and the end having a magenta-ish theme, each having their own unique rewards and challenges. And yes, challenges. The Dimension Trotter's main mechanic are challenges, like the ones you can get on the advancement menu, but these are a little different than your average challenges. When interacting with the Dimension Trotter, you will be granted a similar villager GUI, but with a bunch of interesting challenges. However, the hardest one is locked on the bottom, and the only way to gain access is by completing all available challenges. Best of all, you don't need to do them in order. Just click on the accessible ones you want to choose, and you begin a challenge. For example, you could have an Overworld Trotter challenge that you must obtain light gray gold bars with a certain pickaxe like blue gold, or slay certain entities like zombies in a specific biome like the desert. But when all accessible challenges are complete, the hardest is unlocked. It could probably be something like you must fight a certain number of phantoms, or defend a village against a bad omen level 3 raid. Of course, each Dimension Trotter features their own set of challenges. Like, for example, the nether one, you must fight wither skeletons, collect glowstone, etc. The end, just finding endermen, granted end crystals, and many more. For what the nether and end trotter could feature for their own very hard final challenge, the nether one could have you collect netherite, but craft a single netherite block, or even fight a wither in the Soul Sand Valley. And the end one could have you face up against the ender dragon, or fly at a certain distance with the elytra without fireworks. Now, I will say, yes, these final challenges may be a little too extreme, but again, these are my ideas and concepts for these final challenges. And besides, where's the fun in difficulty, am I right? Sorry about that aside. For what you would be rewarded for the challenges, expect the accessible ones to feature minimal rewards like experience and other items that are good for early to mid game. Some common, some rare. But the end trotter rewarding a bit more of endgame loot. But the hard ones will instead grant you exclusive items you can only obtain from one of these specific Dimension Trotters. The Overworld Trotter could reward you a sturdy armor-like item, which I know sounds a little weird, but the idea of this is it could be applied onto chest plates when using the smithing table, which, by the way, it's more recommended for gold chest plates, but everyone knows that. So it'll upgrade by adding bonus armor toughness, so you can be extra tough in combat, while also giving the smithing table more purpose to use. The Nether Dragon could grant a netherite mace, a weapon that is more tougher than any weapon in the game except for golden swords and axes because they will always be the best. The netherite mace would function similarly as to how maces portray in Minecraft dungeons. They're slow but powerful, and can hit multiple enemies at once. The slight difference being if you were to attack an entity, it would deal a ton of damage. The slam attack would only be applied when holding right click on the ground and letting go. Only then it would deal less damage than if you were to attack. And just like netherite, cannot burn in fire and lava. Lastly, the end charter would give a gateway orb, an item that would allow you to travel back to your spawn point. So in a way, it's basically your own end gateway. The downside of this is it'll lose energy slash durability over time when activated. So it's more of something of a wise use, but better off use, especially if something like this were to be added in one of those huge mods that this item would be more useful in. Overall, each of these Dimension Trotters has their own unique design, challenges, and rewards surrounding it. This way it adds more to that kind of exploration and reason for you to do and use what and where at, than to simply pass it off, making the game more expandable than one of those moments where once you're done, nothing really left to do. But anyways, that's it for this video. Let me know in the comments down below and what you think of this concept and your opinions on it, and I hope you're blessed with a golden day.